Good afternoon, everyone. It is once again Ted the Speed Learner. I am at the Clinton, Illinois Apple and Pork Festival, and what you're seeing here is the parade of pigs. Now, kids are supposed to design these, I don't know whether they're ceramic or whatever pigs, and there's a little contest, and when the contest is over with, they award prizes. And I'm going to go ahead and show you the parade of pigs. So. I wanted to let everybody know that, as you can see here, this one was the first place pig right here. This is the 50th anniversary of the Clinton Apple and Pork Festival. And I wanted to let you guys see all this. Alrighty, in just a moment you're going to see Abraham Lincoln's speech. I'll tell you more in a second, so stay tuned. This is Ted the Speed Learner from YouTube, and we're about to hear some words from Abraham Lincoln himself, so stay tuned.
Alright, well thank you for coming out. I'm just not used to this new technology. But I understand that this is a very important year. You okay, ma'am? Very important year here in the state of Illinois. It's a little birthday you're having this year, isn't it? Yeah, anyone know how many years?
200!
That's right, 200 years, the bicentennial we call it. And so they asked me to come and talk to you a little bit about my time here in Illinois. You know, I spent 31 years here in Illinois. You understand, of course, I wasn't born here, nor even raised here. Now, I was born in Kentucky. Lived the first 8 years of my life there in Kentucky, and the next 13 in Indiana. So those two states are very important to me as far as my growth and formation, I'd say. But I believe it was my years here in Illinois which truly transformed me. Now, we arrived here in 1830. 1830, you understand, Illinois had only been a state for 11 years. That's right, 11 years. Not a whole lot of people here. In fact, there were more. Illinois was the fifth smallest state of all the states when I moved here in 1830. In fact, there were more people living in the city of New York than the state of Illinois when I moved here in 1830. Yeah, not a whole lot of people here. Well, I'll tell you what happened. My cousin John Hanks, he was living with us in Indiana, and he came over here to Illinois in 1828. Went over here to Decatur, a little bit west of there, and he settled there. And he came back to Indiana to tell us about it. He said, well, why don't you come on with me to Illinois? The prairie, he said, great farmland. Not so many trees to uproot. And he said, oh, none of that milk sick. You know, the milk sick's what killed my ma back in Indiana. He said, no milk sick in Illinois. So my pa said, well, that sounds good. And my pa decided to move. And of course, my stepmother, and I was awful close to my stepmother. And then, of course, her 3 children, and their husbands and wives, and everyone was going. I didn't want to be left behind. But I said, I'll come with you. Now, I'd be 21 before the move. I was under no legal obligation to go with my father, you understand. But I said, I'll come along. I'll help you for 1 year. Get you settled there in Illinois. And then I'll probably leave home after that. Not sure where I'll go. But anyway, so we came here to Illinois. Settled 10 miles west of Decatur, there in Macon County. Now, that first year, I thought maybe we'd made a mistake coming here to Illinois. See, our corn crop, that didn't yield much. Oh, by the way, when you first move to a new place, what's the first thing you need to do? You need a house. You got to build yourself a cabin. So I got right to work, cutting down trees. So we'd have logs. We built ourselves a nice log cabin, 18 feet square. That cabin measured. Whole family lived there, of course. And once you're done with that, well, then you've got your animals to worry about, don't you? You need your animals. You don't want them wandering off. It means you got to build fences. And to build fences, well, you need rails, don't you? Splitting rails. That's what I did for months on end. Splitting rails so we could fence in our 10 acres of land. And once I finished our land, well, the neighbors started hiring me out to work for them. Kept splitting rails all summer and fall. You know, I didn't realize it then, but 30 years later, my cousin John Hanks would go back there. He'd find 2 of those rails. They'd be carried into the state Republican convention in Decatur, where I would be announced as the rail splitter candidate for president. A bit embarrassing, ask me, but anyway, I had its political value. Well, anyway, so here we are as the corn crop. Our corn crop that first year wasn't much at all. And then some of the family came down with malaria. Oh, but the worst was yet to come. That winter was a terribly cold winter. And snow, and more snow, and still more snow. Over 6 feet of snow that winter. We called it the winter of the deep snow. Not very imaginative, but descriptive. You know, a lot of people faced hardships that winter. Some people died on the prairie because of the cold and starvation, you see. Our family faced hunger and had to go out and find food. But we survived. And the next March, we've been there 1 year. My pa decided, well, Illinois is not all cracked up to be after all. We're going back to Indiana, he said. So they headed back southeast toward Indiana. Got as far as Coles County, near Charleston. Took a look around, said, well, this don't look too bad. How about we give it another shot? And they'd end up spending the rest of their lives there in Coles County. I, however, it's time to leave home as promised. And what's a young man to do? Head west, of course. That's what a young man does. So I headed west on the Sangamon River. You see, a fellow by the name of Denton Offit. He lived near a place called Calhoun, later named Springfield. And he hired me. He said, Abraham Lincoln, I want you to go with your cousin John Hanks and your stepbrother John Johnston. I want the 3 of you to build a flatboat and take some produce and things go down to New Orleans. Well, to get to New Orleans from Springfield, you got to go down the Sangamon River and then down the Illinois River, down the Mississippi. But we just started our trip, not very far. You ever see the Sangamon River? Not much of a river, is it? No. We got a little far down and the boat got stuck on a mill dam next to a village there, see. And we started taking on water. What are we going to do? Well, thinking quickly, I said, we got to get the goods off, first of all. We moved over to the shore. Now, a whole crowd had gathered looking at us from the village there. And then we drilled a hole in the front of the boat, let the water drain out. And then we got the boat over the mill dam, plugged up the hole, put the goods back on. And the people watching, they were so impressed. And Denton Offit said, well, I think I ought to open a general store in this little village. And I want you, Abe Lincoln, to be my clerk. The name of that village was New Salem. That's how I ended up in New Salem, Illinois, where I would spend the next 6 years of my life. Well, I got there to New Salem. Denton Offit started bragging on me. He said, look at my new clerk, Lincoln. Look how big and strong he is. Well, I bet he could beat any of you boys. Nice for him to say. He doesn't have to fight him, does he? Wrestle. And Jack Armstrong came into the store. Jack's the biggest, baddest baller in town, and he a leader of the Clary's Grove boys. He said, I'll take him on. What could I do? So Jack Armstrong and I, we went at it, 2 of us, wrestling. It was about even, until his friends joined in. Now that wasn't fair, was it? But I'd held my own till then, and so Jack Armstrong accepted me into the community. And that paved the way for me to be accepted by the whole community of New Salem. As I said, I spent the next 6 years of my life there. And I worked all sorts of different odd jobs based on my rather limited education and experience. Oh, I served also for 3 months in the Black Hawk War. Remember the Black Hawk War, don't you? Yeah, and we chased Chief Black Hawk around a little bit around Illinois and Wisconsin. I bragged about my military service later. I said we saw a mighty bloody battle with the mosquitoes. But anyway, now before I left for the Black Hawk War, I'd announced my candidacy to be a representative in the General Assembly. I was just 23 years old, and I told what I'd do if I were elected. I said, well, I'll work for internal improvements. We got to improve the Sangamon River, you see. Got to make it a little deeper and wider and straighter so bigger boats can come on it. And then I talked about education. I said, why, education is the most important subject that we as a people can be engaged in. As I said then, I went off to war, came back, only a week left for the election. And I was defeated. But I did well enough that I encouraged me, and 2 years later I was elected. I'd go on to serve 4 consecutive terms in the General Assembly. And also by this time I'm also studying something else, the law. See, one day a man came along when I had my own general store. He sold me a barrel. He said, by the way, I believe there's some old books in the bottom of it, not worth anything. Books? Not worth anything? I couldn't wait till he left. I dove right in, found a complete set of Blackstone's commentaries on the English law. I started reading through them. I was fascinated by the law. I devoured those books. And then my friend John Todd Stewart, he fought with me in the Black Hawk War. That name Todd sound familiar?
What?
He's got a cousin, she'll come in later. Anyway, John Todd Stewart, he encouraged me. He was a lawyer in Springfield. He let me more books, and I passed the bar exam after a few years of studying, and he asked me to join him, be a partner, junior partner. Well, so I'm in the General Assembly. And 1836-37, very important years. We passed some very important legislation here in Illinois. See, they've been talking a long time, even before Illinois became a state, about building a canal up in the northern part of the state, you see, to connect Lake Michigan with the Illinois River. In fact, that was even connected with the whole process of Illinois becoming a state, where to put the northern border and all that sort of stuff. But anyway, in 1836-37, we decided to go for it. You see, we knew that back in New York, they built the canal there, hadn't they? The Erie Canal. And that was promoted by a gentleman by the name of DeWitt Clinton. Yeah, you know that name, don't you? And DeWitt Clinton, he was governor of New York, he was mayor of New York City different times, and he was the big promoter of the Erie Canal. That had converted New York into the Empire State. I said, I want the same thing for Illinois. Illinois has so much potential. I said, I want to be the DeWitt Clinton of Illinois. And so I was pushing for these projects, and the whole Whig Party was, really. And we decided, 36-37, we're going to build this canal. Now, the canal out in New York, that's 400 miles long, and it took them 7 years to build. Here in Illinois, our canal is only going to be 100 miles long. We figured we could probably do it in just 2 or 3 years. You know how construction projects go in Illinois? Okay, well, keep in mind, 2 or 3 years. All right. And then we said, we're not just going to build a canal, though. We're also going to build railroads. We chartered 16 different railroad companies to build 1,300 miles of railroad track all over the state of Illinois. And then we authorized the building of some roads. And we authorized the building of, well, improving the rivers, making them wider, deeper, straighter, and so on. We went all in for internal improvements, as we call them. We were excited about the future of Illinois. See, we're getting new people moving here, and we're looking forward to the future. Oh, by the way, when I got here to Illinois in 1830, did I tell you how many people were in Illinois? Oh, I got here in 1830. Illinois had only been a state for 11 years. You know, there were 150,000 people in Illinois. There were more people living in New York City than the entire state of Illinois when I got here. We were the 5th smallest state in the nation. But in the meantime, we've been growing, you see, and we're looking forward to more growth and getting more people here. So we said, now, all these great projects are going to cost a little bit of money. But that's all right, because we're getting new people coming all the time, and they'll bring new money, and we'll grow, and we'll pay for it that way. It's okay to go into a little debt now. You're not foreseeing any problems here now, are you? Neither did we. So we went all for it. And then, just about then, a little problem started out east. The Panic of 1837. an economic depression began in New York and slowly spread across the country. By 1840, we're in some trouble out here in Illinois. See, banks are closing down. Land prices are plummeting. Factories are closing. People are losing their jobs. And by 1840, Illinois, here we are, a frontier state, less than 500,000 people, deep in debt. We got a big problem. Now, you won't believe this now, but in 1841, the state of Illinois actually defaulted on its interest payments. I don't think they're much better financial shape these days. Anyway, it did happen in 1841. Now, I have been the great promoter of all these projects here in Illinois. And I suddenly went from being about the most popular fellow in Illinois to the least popular one, you see. I decided not to run for re-election that year. Let another fellow have a chance. So politically, I'm not doing too well in 1840 and 41. And meanwhile, well, John Todd Stewart, I mentioned he had a cousin, didn't I? Her name was Mary Todd. Mary Todd was from Kentucky, just like me. Well, not just like me. I was poor from Kentucky. Miss Todd was wealthy. Lived in one of the fanciest houses all in Springfield, her sister's house. Well, I liked this Miss Todd. Now, Miss Todd, she was intelligent and pretty, of course, and she loved to talk about politics. Well, Miss Todd, I once went to a dance, and she was there. I finally got up enough nerve to ask her. I went on right up to her. I said, Miss Todd, I should like to dance with you the worst way. I really want to dance with her, you see. And she accepted, and we danced. I found out later, she told her friends I'd done exactly that, danced in the worst way. Not very well, no. But anyway, Miss Todd and I, we started courting. And then, all her family was completely against her. She said, "You're throwing yourself away, marrying Abraham Lincoln. What kind of future he got?" You see, both Illinois and myself didn't look to have much much of a future then, see. And you know, Miss Todd, she could have had her choice of man there in Springfield. The great Stephen Douglas wanted to court her. She didn't like his politics. He's a Democrat, you see. I'm a Whig. Anyway, but because her family was against the wedding, and I just wasn't quite sure, you know, I broke off the engagement. So politically, no political future anymore. And my relationship with Mary, well, who knows? That's gone, it seems. And just about then, my good friend Joshua Speed, he announced that he's going to leave. He's going back to Kentucky. I'm going to lose my best friend. And then, well, that was a terribly cold winter that winter too. And all these things combined together to create in me a deep sense of melancholy. The blues, you call it. You know, my friend Joshua hid all the sharp objects in my room, razors, knives, and that sort of thing. I stopped going to legislative sessions. For 3 weeks, I stayed in my room. I wouldn't leave. And then I wrote a letter to John Todd Stewart, my colleague. He was in Congress then. I said, "I am now the most miserable man living. If the sadness that I feel were spread equally over the whole human planet, the face of the planet, there'd not be a single happy face in the whole world." They said, if ever I'll be better, I do not know. I often forebode I shall not. I must die or get better, it seems to me. Well, things aren't looking too good for us, are we, 1840, neither myself or the state of Illinois, but, well, eventually, time went on and things started to improve. Mary and I, we were brought back together again, you see, and by a mutual friend, although we started seeing each other again in secret. Didn't tell her family this time. No, until the day we decided to get married. And Mary went to her sister and said, "Abraham and I have decided to get married tonight." Her sister said, "Tonight? Can't you wait just one day till tomorrow? We'll do it at the mansion, proper like." And so we waited one day, and we got married on November 4th, 1842. And Mary moved out of that nice, fancy house there in Springfield and moved in with me in the boarding house, the Globe Tavern, all I could afford. $4 a week for food and lodging. That's not too bad, is it? You know, we were still living there 9 months later when our Robert was born. And Well, the other boarders didn't much like having a baby around, so we got out of there fairly soon after that, rented a little place, and then another year later we finally bought ourselves a little place on the corner of 8th and Jackson Street in Springfield. Maybe you've seen the little place we bought. Well, what you've seen is what it came to be later. When we bought it, it was just a little cottage, 5 rooms. Later, we had a little bit more money. We were able to add to it, you see. Well, all right, so personally, things are going a little better now. Now, the canal, for 4 years, we didn't do any work on it. And then after 4 years, we started again, but we changed the plan. Now, instead of being a deep cut canal, it would be just a shallow cut. 6 feet deep, 60 feet wide. Means it's not big enough for the really big ships to go on, but it's still big enough for the barges, the commercial traffic, big enough for packet boats, we call them. That's the passenger traffic, you see. And 4 more years to finish it. That's right, it only took from 1836 to 1848, 12 years to build our canal here in Illinois. But we got it done, and it transformed everything. You know, now we can send up to Chicago coal and sand and gravel and limestone, and whole new industries developed up there at that big city, or growing city, we should say, Chicago. We made bricks and glass and cement and things like that. And then the railroads came, and then the people came, and Chicago kept on growing and growing and growing. And now, you know what you can do? You can get on a packet boat in Chicago, go down to LaSalle, switch over to a steamboat, go down to St. Louis in less than 3 days. How about that? For only $9. Quite a bargain. And you can ship goods from St. Louis up to, it used to take 40 days to get to New York. Now you can ship it up through the Great Lakes, it only takes 12 days to get to New York. Transformed everything. Chicago grew to be the transportation hub of the whole nation. Well, mid-40s, I had my 1 term in Congress. Well, you know what was going on in the country then, 47, 48? That was that great Mexican War. And the Whig Party, my party, we opposed that war. We said it's just a land grab, try to get more land for slavery. And I stood up there in the House of Representatives in Washington, and I challenged President Polk to demonstrate to us that the spot of land on which our soldiers' blood was shed was actually our soil, American soil, not the disputed land, you see. And they called those the spot resolutions. President Polk never responded to me, but I earned myself a nickname, Spotty Lincoln. It wasn't meant as a compliment. You know, years later, Stephen Douglas made fun of me. We were having those debates, and we were debating whether a certain convention had taken place at Bloomington or Springfield. And Douglas says, there he goes again, arguing whether it was this spot or that spot. Well, I got back at Douglas, though. You know what I called him in those debates? I called him Judge Douglas. He wasn't a judge then, but he had been a judge. He'd been a judge because in the late 30s, the Democrats packed the court here in Illinois, added some positions to the Supreme Court. Thank you, sir. Added some positions to the Supreme Court. They added 5 new judges. Stephen Douglas named himself one of the 5 new judges. That's how I became a judge. So I just reminded the people of that. Judge Douglas. Actually got my own here too. I'm all set. Where were we at? So I opposed the Mexican War, and I became very unpopular because of that back here in Illinois. But anyway, back here in Illinois now, we're getting close to the 1850s, and by 1850, we had grown even more. We were now 875,000 people in Illinois. Of the 31 states in the Union, we are now the 11th largest. Well, we're getting up there now, aren't we? And meanwhile, we're getting lots of new people arriving in this country in the 40s and 50s. New people from places like Ireland and Germany. And some of them are a little bit different from other people in this country. They were Catholic, a lot of them, you see. And some of the people living here were a little bit concerned about that, you see. And they said, well, you know, we need to pass some new laws. These were called the nativist political parties. They said, we're going to pass a law that says you can't hold office unless you were born in this country. Native born, they said. And you can't vote unless you've been here, let's say, 21 years. Wanted to pass laws like this, you see. They call themselves the Native Americans. A Native American is a white person born in this country, you see, as opposed to an immigrant coming in. And my friend Joshua Speed, he wrote to me once to ask if I was going to join the Know Nothing Party. That's the party of the nativists, you see. And I wrote back and said, no, I'm not a Know Nothing. That is certain. How could I be? How can anyone who abhors the oppression of Negroes be in favor of degrading classes of white people? Our progress in degeneracy appears to me to be pretty rapid. We began by declaring that all men are created equal. We now read it practically. All men are created equal except Negroes. When the Know Nothing get control, it will read, all men are created equal except Negroes and foreigners and Catholics. When it comes to this, I should prefer immigrating to some country where they make no pretense of loving liberty. To Russia, for instance, where despotism can be taken pure without the base and loyal hypocrisy. Well, meanwhile, Illinois continued to grow. My business is continuing to grow. I'm a lawyer, as you know, and I started riding the circuit in the 40s and 50s, and that's what brought me here to DeWitt County, Clinton County seat. I come here twice a year, try cases here. Well, I had a friend here by the name of C.H. Moore. Probably heard of him. He had a little home north of town, a little brick home. Yeah, that's right, till he moved here later, I guess. That's what they tell me, at least. Anyway, C.H. Moore, a friend of mine. Now, what else should I tell you? Oh, I should tell you one more thing about Illinois. Just like New York was the Empire State, and Pennsylvania is the Keystone State, Illinois got a nickname, right? So what do we call Illinois? Land of Lincoln, what a silly name. No. Well, even before we were the Prairie State, we were something else. Illinois was called the Sucker State. That's right, I'm proud of it. See, what happened is, up in southwestern Wisconsin, you got the lead mines, right? Northwestern Illinois, Galena. And every spring, the gentlemen from the southern part of Illinois would go up the Mississippi River to work in the mines up there. At the end of the season, they'd come back down the river. Just like the sucker fish migrates upstream and comes back down. So they started calling us people from Illinois suckers. We were proud of it. But you know, 1860, there was a campaign song for me. Lincoln and Liberty, they called it. It went like this. It made reference to the 3 states that claimed me in the chorus. They said, we'll go for the son of Kentucky, the hero of Hoosierdom through, the pride of the suckers, so lucky, for Lincoln and liberty too. That's right, we were the sucker state, proud of it. Now how about you go out there and you change the back of your plates on your horseless carriages and put that on there, sucker state. Get some more tourists here. I think that'll work. Well, ain't that time. 1850s, of course, 1850s is when the great slavery question arises again. And in fact, the eyes of the nation were on Illinois, because it was your senator and mine, Stephen Douglas, who got things going there in 1854. See, up till then, the idea in the North was, we've got slavery pretty well contained in the South. And eventually, slavery may just die out. That's still the hope, you see. The expectation, really, one day we'll be rid of slavery. But then Stephen Douglas introduced that Kansas-Nebraska Act in 1854, and that changed everything. That meant that slavery could now spread to parts of the country it couldn't before, to the north, to the west. And that's what got me back involved in politics, you see. I started fighting or speaking against that. I gave a speech in Peoria where I said, no, what we ought to do instead is go back to the Declaration of Independence. Re-adopt that for ourselves today. But now let's have laws and policies which are in harmony with the great ideas in that document. Liberty and equality, things like that. Well, a couple of years later, we formed a new political party here in Illinois, well, the whole nation really, to fight the spread of slavery into the West, the Republican Party. I became the leader of the Republican Party here in Illinois. 1857, had that Dred Scott decision, worst decision ever made by the U.S. Supreme Court, and that just put us further on the path to making slavery the law of the whole land. 1858, Senator Douglas was up for re-election, and the Republican Party nominated me to face him. I gave a little speech. I said, a house divided divided against itself cannot stand. That we can't continue this way permanently, half slave and half free. One or the other must happen eventually. We must become a nation which is all slave, or a nation which is all free. And I knew which I wanted. Mr. Douglas and I, we held a serious debate that summer and fall, debated those great questions, whether slavery, or whether Congress would prohibit slavery. We even debated what did the Founding Fathers mean when they wrote all men are created equal. Who were they thinking of? I wish I could tell you I won that election. That was my great ambition in life, to be senator from Illinois. It's the second time I tried. It would be the second time I would fail. I know it's not important or anything, but I do want you to know I actually got more votes than Douglas, even though he was re-elected. Well, in any event, 2 years later, I found myself facing Senator Douglas again, 1860. That's right, 1860, the Republican Party. Well, I should say something else about that little city called Chicago that we built up there. Chicago kept growing, getting bigger and bigger. 1847, they had a convention there, a national convention. Imagine that. And then, I understand you've had a few more conventions there since then. In fact, one of them was 1860. That's when I was nominated by the Republican Party to be president. The convention was supposed to be in Cincinnati. But the people managing my campaign, any of you here from Bloomington, you probably know my friend David Davis, don't you? Jesse Fellow, gentlemen. And they helped get the convention moved out to Chicago, you see? Chicago, they said, a neutral location. See, I wasn't one of the main candidates. I was kind of down below. Now, I don't know if it's true or not, but I heard a rumor that one of my friends, Lord Hill Lehman, maybe printed just a few extra tickets and gave them out to some Illinois boys so they could go into the convention hall and make some noise. See? I know that sort of thing doesn't happen in Chicago these days. It maybe happens. Anyway, I was nominated as a candidate by the Republican Party. You know who the Democrats nominated that year? Our old friend,
Stephen Douglas.
That's right. The two main candidates for president were both from Illinois. Neither one of us born here, but we were both claimed Illinois as our home. Shows you how much Illinois had grown in just 42 years since becoming a state. By 1860, Illinois had grown to be 1.7 million people. We were now the fourth largest state in the nation. Excuse me a minute. Pennsylvania and Ohio were bigger than Illinois. And by that time also, in 1840, the number of foreign born in this country was about 5% of the people. By 1850, it was 10%. By 1860, it was about 14%. 1 out of every 7 people in the U.S. in 1860 had been born in another country. In Illinois, it was 19%. Nearly 1 out of 5 people. In Springfield, where I live, 34%. 1 out of 3. And in Chicago, 50%. In the year 1860, 1 out of every 2 people living in the city of Chicago had been born in another country. Mostly Ireland or Germany, you see. Well, down in Springfield where I live, any of you seen my house down there? 8th and Jackson Street, right? And right next to us, right next door, was a family by the name of Kerrigan. Where do you suppose they were from? Ireland. That's right, Irish immigrants. And next to them was a friend, Edward Bugg was his name. He was an English immigrant. And a little bit further up the road was my good friend Henry Raymond from Germany. His wife Mary, well, he unfortunately died as a young man just when his wife Mary was pregnant with the first child. But his Mary and my Mary remained friends the rest of their lives. And then Henry had a sister who moved in later, also from Germany, across the street down, Mrs. Sprigg. Tad's spent an awful lot of time over there at the Sprigg house. And next to her, a couple doors down, was Jesse Dubois, French-Canadian. Good friend of mine. He was a state auditor here in Illinois. And across the street from him was Jameson Jenkins, a free black man. Now, he helped some slaves escape on the Underground Railroad once. He was a coachman. He's the one who drove me to the train station the day I left Springfield. And then up a little closer to us was another German family, the Springers. He helped establish a college there in Springfield, Illinois State University, called it, of Springfield, a private college, you see. Later it moved moved out to Carthage, became Carthage College. Oh, I know you're getting confused with that school in North Bloomington, aren't you? Yeah, that came later, Illinois State Normal University. But anyway, well, my little neighborhood there in Springfield was rather diverse, don't you think? Kind of interesting back in the 1860s. Well, in any event, 1860 then, Illinois, the next president's going to come from Illinois. We don't know who it'll be yet. And Illinois, fourth largest state in the nation. Now, during these 31 years I lived here in Illinois, you know, we got this interesting mix of people coming here. We had Southerners coming in, a lot of Southerners, and we had Northerners. And those people had to learn how to live together, didn't they? And then we also had, we had liberals and conservatives. And they needed to learn how to live together. And we had rich and poor, and we had urban and rural, and we had immigrant and native born. And all these different groups had to learn how to somehow live and work together so Illinois could survive and thrive. Well, you know, I was elected president that year, 1860, and I prepared to leave Illinois. I thought, well, what are we going to do afterwards? And we decided, well, we're coming back, of course. Coming right back to Springfield. So we're not going to sell this house. No, we'll just rent it out. When I'm done being president, we're coming back. I told my friend, my law partner, Billy Herndon. I said, Billy, you leave the shingle out there, Lincoln and Herndon. When I'm done being president, I'm coming back to Springfield. We'll carry on just as before. Well, those were our plans. Well, as we all know, we don't know the future, do we? Well, as the scriptures tell us, both the Old and New Testaments, our lives are like a vapor. Here today, gone tomorrow. Or as my favorite poet, Robert Burns, once wrote, the best laid plans of mice and men go off the rye. Or another, my favorite poem of all, another Scottish poet, William Knox, Mortality is called. Oh, why should the spirit of mortal be proud? Like a swift fleeting meteor, a fast flying cloud, a flash of the lightning, a break of the wave, he passeth from life to his rest in the grave. No, we don't know our future, do we? Well, in any event, I hope you've enjoyed this little summary of my time here in Illinois. 31 years. As I prepared to leave Illinois, 1861, I look back at my 31 years here, and I was leaving behind a state, now the fourth largest state in the nation. A state full of promise and energy, hopeful for the future. A state where we had this interesting mix of people, really a microcosm of the whole nation. Northerners and Southerners, liberal and conservative, rich and poor, urban and rural, native born and immigrant. And these groups clashed at times. They also learned how to live together and work together for the sake of the state and of the nation. And I too have been transformed in these 31 years. I was now the president-elect of a nation in crisis, on the verge of disunion and perhaps even civil war. And I'd be the one who'd have to try to keep this nation together. But I believe my 31 years here in Illinois helped prepare me for that, for whatever lay ahead. Well, thank you very much. Now don't forget, December the 3rd this year, we've got to celebrate 200 years to finish state. How about that? Now, I got some time left here if you have any questions for me. Maybe from my time here in Illinois, or my time before that in Kentucky or Indiana, or maybe my time afterwards up in Washington, either any of those. I just can't go past April 14th, 1865, okay? No questions about after that. Okay, who has a question for me?
How come you never wrote a textbook on how to interpret Euclid's elements? Because I know you studied that.
Well, I studied Euclid. I studied the first 6 books. Mastered the first 6 books of Euclid. That helped me with my logical arrangements as a lawyer, you see.
Yeah.
No, I don't have time to write technical on that.
Aw, darn.
Another question. Must be another question out there. I did remember, I did forget to tell you one thing. Speaking about being transformed. You know, all those years I lived here in Illinois, I didn't look like this, did I? I was clean shaven. You remember when we met, I was clean shaven, wasn't I? That's right. You were always objected to this. Anyway, by then what happened, 1860, I was running for president, and a girl out in New York State, Grace Fidel was her name, she was 11 years old. She saw a picture of me at the State Fair in New York, decided to write me a letter. She said, "Dear Mr. Lincoln, you have a very thin face. You'd be a bit more handsome, I believe, if you grow some whiskers." that, I believe I can get my brothers to vote for you. If that was something, some of her brothers were Democrats. Well, because of that letter, I decided to let my beard grow out, so I transformed that way too. Alright, any more questions? Alright, well, I'll be around here if you have more questions for me, you want my photograph or anything like that. But